Welcome to our Meet the Experts editing panel. Today we're joined by Joanna Naugle from The Bear, Lauren Beckett Jackson from The Daily Show, Adam Penn from Genius MLKX, Tim Murrell from A Gentleman in Moscow, and Alex Trudeau-Viriato from Thank You, Goodnight, The Bon Jovi Story. Thank you all for being here. Well, we often hear about how difficult it is to cut things from films, shows, get things down for time or streamline the story or whatever. So what was the hardest thing you've ever had to cut in any project? Let's start with Joanna.
Oh, wow, that is such a tough question. I think starting out, I did some like documentary cutting, and it's just so hard, I think, to not have a script to go back to. And it's so fun to have things be so open-ended, but also at the same time, like I'm so lucky on The Bear, we have amazing scripts to go back to. So, kudos to the unscripted editors on the panel because yeah, it just takes so much more finessing and so much more big picture to be like, okay, we're building this house as we're also cutting it. Whereas I at least have like the blueprint to start from. So definitely admire documentary editors a lot.
It was a horror film with killer kids in, and that was a nightmare to cut. The director said to me just before we started, he said, I'm going to do most of it in camera. We'll be in and out in like 6 weeks. 6 months later, we were still trying to find the movie, and we broke it down and rebuilt it so many times in so many different ways. But it was awful for a long time, but when we found the movie, it was brilliant. And I probably learned more doing that than on any other sort of TV show or movie that I've done.
6 months, Jesus. Lauren, how about you?
I would say, I think I agree with Joanna that documentary is the hardest. I think just because there's so much archival coming at you and you're trying to figure out what's going to be the most impactful, what's going to kind of, in our instance for comedy, like what's going to bring the most laughs. And I did a documentary very early in my career that was about the Greek Civil War, and it was entirely in Greek. And I don't speak any Greek. As you might have guessed. And so I had to kind of sit with the director every day, and she would kind of go through some of the interviews with me, and we'd have to kind of go back and forth on what might work, what music might work here, what B-roll we can use to enhance the story. But a lot of it was also then part of this huger, like much more big archival project that had animations in it as well. There was narration. And so just kind of trying to pull all those elements in and make them a story that you want to tell, and getting the director's vision right. This was something that was near and dear to her heart, so you don't want to butcher it. You want to make sure that you give her the essence that your visionary essence that they're trying to create. So documentary is definitely, I think, the hardest form.
And it was literally Greek to you in that case.
Literally Greek. Yeah.
Adam, how about you?
I'm actually going to jump on the documentary thing a little bit as well. Number of years ago, I cut People versus O.J. Simpson, the story, and which was a great experience, really fun. And the opening of the pilot of that was it was all archivals, Rodney King, L.A. riots, all that stuff, and it had to set the tone. It was basically backstory for the entire series that followed. So it was kind of a crucial thing to get right. And I had tons of footage. Took quite a while to build this little sequence together. But in the end, I was really proud of it and really happy with what what came out of it. And I do think it succeeded in kind of setting the tone and backstory for everything that followed in that season.
Yeah, sure. Great show. Alex, how about you?
As much as I appreciate the validation that documentary editing is hard, I can't say it's hard to do it. At least I'm doing it in English, not in Greek. That sounds, I don't know if I have anything harder than that. But I think I don't know any other world now. For me, it's the opposite now. Now I think, it's been so long since I've cut anything scripted. Going back and having someone tell me, this is what happens in the scene, and these are the words that need to happen here, and not having this open sandbox of I can say whatever I want in this, as long as it's been said in the world, and as long as it exists on a clip, those are sentences and words that I have to my access, and I can just put that in. And I thought about the other day of just imagine going back to a script or imagine going back to a scene where it's like this happens and then this happens. I haven't experienced that in years now that I've been in documentaries, and I've kind of questioned what I would be like going back into that. Like it'd be kind of scary to be told this is what needs to happen here and these are the things.
Yeah.
So I think it's just what you're used to. I'd be more fearful to go back into scripted.
You don't want to know the ending. You
Yeah,
wanna-
it became this kind of creative, open area that I could just try it. Let's start the whole movie with this scene. Let's
Mhm.
start that scene with this one clip I just found randomly on YouTube. Let's throw that in there, and it just now that's kind of how my brain works, and now that's kind of how I see these pieces.
Mhm.
That still happens in scripted as well.
The endings can
It's not
change.
the end.
Yeah.
Well, I want to talk about trailers and sizzle reels. Like I know marketing
no.
departments, oh no, usually cut those, but I'm assuming you've all had experience cutting those types of things. But it's, it's still a different skill set and with different goals, obviously. So when have you been like the most surprised, good or bad, by the way a trailer was cut for one of your projects?
I think
I
it's
mean, I don't
always
know-
fun.
Oh, go ahead,
sorry.
John. Go ahead, John. Yeah.
Oh, no. I was gonna say, I think it's always fun, like when I see the trailer for a show, because a lot of times they'll use the same lines but different takes than what's in the cut. And I'm like, oh, whoa, that was a cool take. Should I have used that? And then I spiral a little bit and I'm like, no, we chose the right one for the scene. But it's just fun to be like, it's a little bit like parallel universe where you're like, oh, right, they use like this coverage we never cut to. So I remember thinking that when the Bear season 2 trailer came out, and it was just like so fun to be like, this is the show that we've been cutting, but a slightly different take on it. But not to interrupt you.
Yeah, I was just gonna say in documentary, I feel like it's just a ticking time bomb before you get the producers who are like, so about the sizzle, and you're like, "Ugh, all right, well, I mean, we're in the middle of episode 3, and now it's like sizzle. And for me, I have so much respect for trailer editors for the way they're looking for things and they're watching. I worked at next door to Jack's where they were making the Joker trailer in the House of Cards, and you're just listening to the same thing over and over and over for months for like a 1-minute trailer. So it almost feels like let them do like, yes, us editors, we can cut a trailer, we can cut a sizzle. And I know you think because I know all the footage, because we're in it, that makes me the right person for this, but it's a different, I feel it's almost like a different muscle looking for that sizzle material, cutting it at the pace for that. You have to really stop down, get out of like story, long form, whatever this is, get out of that zone, then get into trailer. And sometimes it takes a beat and takes a minute, and like the sound design and what's working and what trailers are out now and what's the best way to do it now. I feel like it's just a little bit of a different mindset, and sometimes that takes a little bit longer than expected.
Yeah, because the whole point is to tease this thing and to get people interested, which is not necessarily, the project itself. It's like,
Right. And you love to see a good trailer of what you're working on done by someone else. And like, oh, they got it. They picked all the things, and now this is amazing thing promoting this thing I've been on for 2 years. Perfect. Like, go Disney marketing or Hulu marketing or whoever it is, and like, good job.
I mean, the Bon Jovi trailer was great, so.
They did a great job. That was one of my most memorable, great experiences with a marketing team who was in tune to what we were doing and had all these little shorter trailers. And every time we saw one, it was like, oh, yep, that's it. Send. And it was really satisfying.
Adam, how about you?
Yeah, I've never cut a trailer, but I did about 10 years ago. I cut a movie for HBO called The Normal Heart, and I threw a song in there, Roxy Music's More Than This. I just threw it into the movie, and it played really well, and I was very excited by it. And then, a year or so later, the trailer comes out, and it is set to that song, and I felt that was my little contribution to the trailer. I was very excited at that they chose that song.
It's like validated.
Yeah.
Tim, how about you?
Well, I've had good and bad experiences with trailers. Just sometimes a trailer will be presented and you're thinking, that's not really what we're making. So you kind of, so that can happen, particularly sort of sales trailers for movies you're working on or something. But they can be really, really fantastic. And like the others have said, find moments. And I always kind of want to see what they've done, because there may be a shot, some context of something. I'm going, oh, wow, that's brilliant. A slight moment of, yeah, why didn't I think of that? And then now I want to use it. But I did a movie a year and a half ago that then kind of wasn't going anywhere, we didn't think, or there was kind of got stuck in various kind of issues. And then the trailer came out this year and it was brilliant. And it suddenly the movie was suddenly going to come out. So that was a really exciting thing. And I thought they nailed the trailer. It was fantastic.
Mm-hmm. Lauren, how about you?
I also don't have as much trailer experience, so that's harder. But I guess from a reality standpoint, because I came from reality TV, I've been asked to do sizzles where we're trying to like sell a show to a network. And so there's a lot of cooks there because we don't quite have the funding yet. And so things don't look as great as you would imagine. And so you're trying to kind of enhance things, trying to get to the nitty-gritty of who these main characters are, why they're going to be interesting. And trying to sell that in like 4 or 5 minutes. And so that's kind of something that it's not my favorite thing to do. I think I was like, development, I don't think that's for me. So I quickly moved away from it, but it is kind of fun to just try new things and just see if you can make these characters sing, and without a script. It kind of gives you the freedom to do that. So it is kind of fun to just stir the pot, see what comes out. But it's probably not my favorite art form.
Well, unfortunately, we have to wrap, but it was great speaking with all of you today. Congratulations on all of your shows. Thank you so much and have a great day.
Thank you.
Hey,
Thank
thank
you.
Appreciate it.
Thank you.